My girlfriend said she wanted to switch to an open relationship, but when I refused, she dumped me, calling me a manipulator, and now her parents are begging for help. A month after she dumped me, her parents showed up at my door, asking me to help her, the same girl who called me a manipulator and left. They were desperate, and it surprised me after everything. This started with her wanting an open relationship, and now it's become something bigger. This is how it happened. My ex, Sarah, was my girlfriend for 2 years. We met through a mutual friend at a party, and things kicked off fast. She was 26, worked a steady job, and we moved in together after a year. Everything was normal until 3 months ago. It was a regular night. We were on the couch, nothing special happening. Out of nowhere, she turned to me and said she wanted to switch to an open relationship. No build-up, no hints, just threw it out there like it was a casual question. I didn't even know how to react at first. Then I got angry. I told her no, that's not what I wanted, not what we built together. I asked her why she'd even suggest it, but she didn't give a real answer, just said she felt trapped. Trapped? After 2 years of me thinking we were fine? My voice got loud, and I said I wasn't okay with her seeing other people. She didn't argue much after that. She just stared at me, cold, and said I was controlling. Then she called me a manipulator, grabbed her stuff, and dumped me right there. She walked out the door without looking back. I sat there for hours, trying to figure out what just happened. 2 years, gone in 10 minutes? I didn't chase her. I figured she'd made up her mind, and I wasn't going to beg. That was it, 3 months ago, and I thought I'd never hear from her again. I was wrong, but that part comes later. For now, it's just me, pissed off and confused, wondering how she flipped so fast. It didn't make sense then, and it barely does now. Sarah was normal for most of our 2 years together. She had a marketing job, and we lived together after dating for a year. She was funny, planned trips, cooked with me, things were good. That changed 4 months ago. She met a group of hipsters from work. They were into loud music, thrift store clothes, and late-night parties. She started hanging out with them more, coming home late. She'd talk about how they lived free lives, no rules. At first, I didn't care, she could have friends. But she kept going out, staying over at their places, saying it was too far to drive back. She got defensive when I asked about it, so I stopped asking. Then she started mentioning their ideas, how relationships didn't need to be one-on-one, how monogamy was old-fashioned. She'd bring it up casually, like it was no big deal. I told her it sounded stupid, but she wouldn't drop it. She'd go to their parties, come back acting different, distant, distracted. She stopped planning stuff with me, spent more time texting them. I heard her on the phone once, laughing about how closed-minded some people were. I knew she meant me. She started dressing like them too, ripped jeans, oversized shirts. Her old clothes sat in the closet untouched. She'd leave for days, not say where she was going. I found a flyer for one of their events in her bag, some art thing with a bunch of them listed as hosts. She was fully in their world by then. It wasn't just friends, she was buying into everything they were about. They didn't believe in monogamy, and she started agreeing. She'd argue with me about it, saying I didn't get it. I'd tell her I didn't want to get it. That went on for weeks. She pulled away more each day, spending all her time with them. By the time she asked for the open relationship, she was already gone. After she left, I heard she moved in with them. She didn't just want me to agree, she wanted their life, and I didn't fit. After Sarah moved in with the hipsters, I didn't hear much about her for a while. I blocked her number, deleted her from my phone, and tried to move on. Mutual friends filled me in sometimes though. They said she was all in with that group, living in some rundown house they all shared. It had a big porch, always full of people smoking and playing music. She'd quit her marketing job, started doing freelance art stuff instead. She was dating one of them too, a guy with long hair and tattoos, some musician type. Friends said she seemed happy at first, always posting pics online with them, captions about freedom and real love. I didn't look her up myself, didn't want to see it. A month after the breakup, a buddy told me she'd been at a bar with her new boyfriend, bragging about how she dodged a bullet with me. That stung, but I kept my head down. Weeks passed, and the updates slowed. I figured she was gone for good, living her new life. Then, about a month ago, 2 months after she left, I got a call from a number I didn't know. It was her. She sounded off, not like the confident Sarah who dumped me. She said she needed to talk, asked me to hear her out. I almost hung up, but she kept going. She said things had gone bad with her new group. They'd convinced her to pool her money with them, some big plan to start a business or something. She'd handed over most of her savings, thousands of dollars. Then they took off. Left her with nothing, no money, no place to stay. She'd been crashing on a friend's couch, trying to figure things out. She said she was sorry, that she'd messed up, that she didn't know who else to call. I listened, but I didn't say much. She asked if I could help her, maybe lend her some cash, let her stay with me until she got back on her feet. I thought about it for a second. 2 years together, and now she's broke and alone because she chased that lifestyle. I told her no. I said she made her choice, and I wasn't her backup plan. She got quiet, then hung up. I didn't feel bad. She called me a manipulator, walked out, and now she wanted me to fix her mess. I went to bed that night thinking that was the end of it. I was wrong again the next morning after Sarah's call. I was still processing it. I'd said no, and that felt final. I got up, made coffee, and started my day like usual. Then the doorbell rang. I opened it, and there were her parents, her mom and dad, standing on my doorstep. I hadn't seen them since before the breakup. They looked tired, worried. Her mom started talking fast, saying Sarah was in trouble. Her dad just stood there, nodding. They said she'd called them after me, told them everything, how her new friends took her money and left her broke. She'd been staying on a couch, but that friend kicked her out. Now she was at their house, but they couldn't handle it. They said she was a wreck, crying all the time, no job, no plan. They tried to help, but they didn't have much money either. Her mom said Sarah kept bringing up my name, saying I was the only one she could count on. They came to me because they thought I'd take her back, or at least give her something to start over. I stood there, listening, not saying anything at first. Her dad finally spoke, asked if I could talk to her, maybe let her stay with me for a bit. I thought about it. Sarah's parents had always been decent to me, invited me over for holidays, treated me like family. But this was different. I told them no. I said Sarah made her choice when she left me, called me a manipulator, and ran off with those people. I said I wasn't responsible for her anymore. Her mom looked upset, said Sarah was desperate, that she'd learned her lesson. Her dad just sighed, like he knew I wouldn't budge. I didn't. I told them she wasn't my problem, she'd used me before, and I wasn't letting her do it again. They left after that, didn't argue much. I shut the door and sat down, feeling weird about it. Part of me wondered if I was too harsh. But then I remembered how she'd walked out, how she'd thrown 2 years away for that group. I wasn't going back after Sarah's parents left. I tried to get back to my routine. I went to work, hit the gym, kept busy. But it stuck with me, her mom's face, her dad's quiet plea. I didn't feel guilty, just unsettled. A few days later, a friend texted me. He'd seen Sarah at a coffee shop downtown. She looked rough, tired, hair messy, carrying a backpack like she was moving around a lot. He said she didn't see him, just sat alone, staring at her phone. I didn't ask for more details, told him I didn't care. But I wondered what she was doing. Was she still at her parents' place? Had she found somewhere else? I didn't call to find out. That same week, I got a notification. Her old Instagram account was active again. I hadn't checked it since the breakup, but curiosity got me. She'd posted a story, a picture of her in a park, caption saying, "Starting over." No mention of the hipsters or her parents. I swiped out fast, blocked her again. Didn't need that in my head. Life went on. I started talking to a new girl from work, nothing serious, just coffee once. It felt good to move forward. Then, yesterday, I got an email from Sarah. She said she'd found a temp job, was staying in a cheap rental her parents helped pay for. She wrote that she didn't expect me to reply, just wanted me to know she wasn't begging anymore. She apologized again, said she'd been wrong about me, that the open relationship thing was a mistake. I read it twice. It didn't change anything. I deleted it, didn't respond. She'd made her mess, and I wasn't part of her cleanup crew. Her parents haven't come back. Maybe they gave up too. I don't know where she's at now, and I don't plan to check. I'm done with that chapter. The days after Sarah's email felt quieter. I didn't reply, didn't check her socials, didn't ask anyone about her. Work kept me busy, long shifts, new projects piling up. I started spending more time with that girl from work, Jen. She's 28, works in sales, has a dry sense of humor. We grabbed coffee a couple times, then dinner last week. It's casual, no pressure, but it's something. I didn't tell her much about Sarah, just that I'd had a rough breakup a few months back. She didn't pry, which I liked. Outside of that, I've been hitting the gym more, picking up old hobbies like gaming with friends online. It's not perfect, but it's a routine. 2 weeks ago, A coworker mentioned he'd run into one of Sarah's hipster friends, the bearded musician guy, at a gas station. Said the dude looked strung out, mumbled something about moving out of state. I didn't ask follow-ups, but it got me thinking. That whole group must have fallen apart after they took her money and split. I wondered if they ditched her first, or if she'd figured out their scam too late. Didn't matter. I wasn't digging into it. Last weekend, I cleaned out the apartment. Found some of Sarah's old stuff in a box, a hoodie, a couple books, a keychain from a trip we took. I stared at it for a minute, then tossed it all in a donation bin. No point keeping reminders. My lease is up in a month, and I'm looking at a new place, smaller, closer to work. Feels like a fresh start. Yesterday, Jen asked if I wanted to see a movie this weekend. I said yeah. It's the first time in months I've felt halfway normal about someone new. Sarah's name hasn't come up in my head as much. Her parents haven't reached out again, and I'm guessing they're done trying. I don't know if she's still in that rental or if that temp job stuck. I don't check. Sometimes I think about her call, her email, how she sounded desperate, then resigned. Part of me wonders if she'll crash again and show up one more time. But I've got my own life now. She picked her path, and I'm not on it. Things have settled more since that last email from Sarah. Work steady, and I've been hanging out with Jen regularly, movies, dinners, even a hike last weekend. She's easy to be around, doesn't push for anything heavy. I signed the lease for that new apartment yesterday, move-ins in 2 weeks. It's a 1-bedroom, no extra space for old ghosts. I've packed most of my stuff already, keeping it simple. A few days ago, a friend from my old circle texted me. He'd heard from someone that Sarah got a new job, retail, nothing big but stable. She's still in that rental, apparently scraping by. He said her parents were helping less, tired of bailing her out. I nodded at the message, didn't reply. Didn't need to know more. Yesterday, I saw a post on a local Facebook group, someone selling furniture from that hipster house Sarah moved into. The pic showed the porch, empty now, no crowd. Guess they're gone for good. I scrolled past it. This morning, I ran into our old neighbor at the store. She asked about Sarah, said she hadn't seen her around. I told her we split months ago, kept it short. She nodded, didn't press. I paid for my groceries and left. That's how it's been, little echoes of Sarah popping up, then fading out. I don't feel mad anymore, just done. Jen's meeting me tonight for pizza. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a few weeks since I last heard anything about Sarah. I moved into the new apartment, unpacked, set up, no trace of the old place. Jen's been over a couple times. We're keeping things light, but it's good. Work's fine, gym's routine, life's clicking along. Yesterday, I was scrolling Reddit, lurking in r/relationships like always. Saw a post about someone's ex begging to come back after a bad choice. Felt familiar, but I kept scrolling. I don't check up on Sarah anymore, don't know if she's still working retail, still in that rental, still alone. Don't care enough to ask. Her parents never showed up again, and that's fine. I've got my own stuff going now. Still, I'm here typing this out because I'm curious what you all think. Was I right to say no when she called? When her parents came knocking? She dumped me, chased that open relationship mess, got burned, and then ran back when it fell apart. I didn't let her in. Part of me wonders if that was cold, but most of me says she earned it. What's your take, Reddit? Should I have helped, or was cutting her off the move?